the hell is up, everybody? Louis here again for an exciting and violent night of fights. UFC 291. The BMF title is on the line at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Dustin the Diamond Poirier taking on Justin the Human Highlight Gaethje. Also, a de facto #1 contender fight, possibly a championship fight. We don't know. At light heavyweight, 205 pounds, Jan Blachowicz taking on Alex Poatan Pereira, making his 205 debut. That's going to be violent. Also, you got Derek the Black Beast Lewis trying to get back on the win streak, taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. That's going to be violent. Two big boys at altitude. That'll be fun. You got Tony Ferguson trying to revive his career, taking on Bobby Green. And you got a big matchup at welterweight. Michael Chiesa making his long-awaited return, taking on Kevin Trailblazer Holland as he tries to ascend the ranks. Michael Chiesa at number 12. Big spot for both guys. In the prelims, you got some action. You got Jake Matthews trying to get back on the winning track, taking on newcomer Darius Flowers at welterweight. And you got Gabriel Bonfim, also at welterweight, seeing if he can keep the hype train going. It's a fun night of fights. Let's get right down to it here. First fight of the night at 125 pounds, women's flyweight, Miranda Maverick taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. Maverick took on Jasmine Jasudavicius her last fight. In the first round, she gets touched up with some jabs, but she's looking for some overhands and some kicks, and then she tries to get into the clinch position, not doing so well on the feet. Her double attempt gets stuffed, though, but she gets double unders, but then she gets taken out the wizard kick, but she's able to pull the armbar in full guard. Doesn't fully extend it, but has it locked up, so maybe you could have gave her the round, who knows. Then in the second round, she dips in with an overhand left, but then she eats a counter cross inside the pocket. She throws a naked head kick, and she throws an uppercut, and then a left hook, but then she gets pressed, gets put in the tie clinch, eats some knees, and a head kick followed up with a hook. She just kind of gets taken advantage in those flurry situations. She gets a snatch single. She tries to run the pipe, but it gets stuffed. She shoots too far out, in my opinion, and she gives up side control, then gives up her back. Then in the third round, she tries a spinning elbow and then a body kick. They land, but don't know how much good it did. But then she gets touched up with some straights while she's circling, and then she's able to slip the straight shots, but she clips her with an uppercut, but then she eats a straight flurry, just gets pressed right back to the fence. She lands some step-in elbows, tries to go for the snatch single, but it gets defended yet again. She gives up her back in this instance. Not going well for her. She was on that same shot, tried to get the high C, tried to run the pipe. Crackdown wasn't working out. So then Priscilla Cachoeira took on Ariana Lipski her last fight. Vicious knockout. In the first round, she lands a step-in overhand. She's able to slip the cross, lands a counter left hook whenever Ariana's loading up. And she lands a hook flurry, and she throws from her shoelaces and gets it done. Don't know why Priscilla wanted to strike with her. Then she took on Jeon Kim, but before that, she took on Julian Robertson, who's going to be the most like Miranda Maverick, in my opinion. In the first round, she plants, and she plants her feet in the ground, and she throws a hook, but then she gets clinched up against the fence. She throws some jabs and some overhands at range, but then she's able to back out of the single leg attempts, kind of stays far back from range, so she was aware of it. She's able to land a body kick, but then she eats a follow-up leg kick. She throws her hooks, but then she gets taken out with the double. She just loads up way too much, gives up full amount, eats some nasty ground and pound, and she gives up her back in the rear naked choke, and it gets submitted and try to gouge her eyes out. So but at least she's going to fight for your dollar. Priscilla Cachoeira plus 235. Miranda Maverick minus 280. I was really high in Miranda Maverick. I still am. But that loss wasn't too long ago. She didn't take too much damage. But I don't know if she's rushing back into things. And a lot of people underestimate Priscilla Cachoeira. She's got dynamite in her hands. She's competent. She has competent wrestling defense, I guess. But, Miranda Maverick rushes in there. Priscilla could catch her with something big. That's a big price line, plus 235. I'm going to go with it. It's lower level. It's lower level women's MMA, and anything could happen. Plus 235. It's a big chunk of change. I'm going to go with Priscilla Cachoeira. Might be a stupid pick, but I've seen stupider. So, second fight on the card at 170 pounds, men's welterweight, Matt the Jedi Semmelsberger taking on Uros Medic. Uros Medic coming up from 155. Semmelsberger took on Jeremiah Wells his last fight. In the first round, he's able to drop him with an overhand whenever he gets pressed pretty early on in the fight. Then he gets the over-under position on the fence, but then he gets taken down with a nice little foot sweep, but he's able to get back up, but he gets clinched again in the over-under position, but then he eats some hooks, and then he gets doubled at the end of the round. Close round, but he did drop him. Second round, he drops him again with the left and a right hook. hook counter when he's coming in. He's able to duck the hook, and he's able to land some overhands, but then he gets taken out the double again. Then in the third round, he throws his front kick, but then he gets clinched, and he gets taken out the double right into half guard. He's able to get back up this time, but he's not able to break the clinch, and he keeps getting doubled in mat return. So, yeah, close fight. I thought you could have given it to Matt, but, you know, he really struggles in the wrestling department. Then Uros Medic took on Omar Morales. This was a little while ago, over a year, at 155. In the first round, he lunges in with the left hook, but then he gets clipped with an overhand, and he starts pumping his jabs, but then he gets clipped with an overhand, and he's able to hurt him with the check right hook, though, at the end of the round. Then in the second round, he eats a head kick, and he kind of circles away from the combination. Then he's able to drop him with the step-in left cross, and then he rocks him again with a left hook, then a right, then a left hook, and gets the KO. Just kind of bombs on him. And, yeah, smell blood. So, yeah, good performance from him. Uros Medic, plus 175. Matt Summelsberger, minus 205. This is a tough one. I don't like the price tag, but I am high on Matt Summelsberger. His wrestling, you know, that's where he struggles. But Uros Medic, I don't think, you know, he's not a really good wrestler. He might try to take him down. Matt Summelsberger is competent in the wrestling defense at least. He can keep it on the feet. Matt Summelsberger, he's got dynamite in his hands for whatever reason. People don't expect that. And Uros Medic coming up for 155. Matt Summelsberger might be able to just out-physical him in this instance. So I'm going to give Matt the benefit of the doubt. I thought he had a close fight with Jeremiah Wells. Minus 205. I'm going to go with Matt Summelsberger. We'll see what happens, though, but I think he hurts Uros. So, third fight of the night at 125 pounds, men's flyweight. CJ Vergara taking on Vinicius Salvador. CJ took on Daniel Da Silva his last fight. In the first round, he eats a head kick, but he's able to land a step and cross, then backs out of range. He lands a step and hook and a body kick, and he just keeps kind of circling, looking for his next shot, and then he lands a straight left, standing at range, but he gets dropped with the back kick, and then eats a 1-2, but then he's able to clinches, and then he runs away from him because he was hurt really bad, and, you know, that's just smart in my opinion. But then he gets dropped with a spinning back kick again. But he's able to get back up, and he lands a counter hook up against the fence. But then he gets taken out with the double, gives up his back, and gives up a rear naked choke attempt, but he's able to get out of it, and he keeps fighting for the whole fight, so he's not going to give up his submission, so that's really good to see. In the second round, he went to jab, and then a left hook to the body, then a left cross to the body, followed up to the head. He's able to stuff the single leg attempt this time, but then he gets put in a calf slicer situation in the scramble, but he's able to land some heavy ground and pound. Then he's able to transition to the arm triangle. Then he's able to land some nasty elbows from there, takes half guard, and then he's able to take his back, ground and pound, TKO. Struggles in the first round, but if he can make it out, you know, he can turn it around in the second and the third. Then Vinicius Salvador took on Victor Altamirano his last fight. In the first round, he lands some leg kicks, and he kind of swings wild hooks and gets taken out with a double. He lands some wild hooks to the body and the head. Then Victor dips down when he throws an overhand, and then he's able to stuff the single leg attempt this time. And then in the second round, he eats a straight off of him loading up his hooks, and he tries to get around his back standing. Can't really get it, though. He's able to stuff the double leg attempt this time with an overhook, and he's able to get a wizard kick, but he's not able to hold him down there, but at least he has that trick in his book. Then he's able to land a left hook in the pocket. He crashes in, touches his body with his body, and lands a left hook, but then he eats a head kick standing at range, has his hands down for a moment. Then in the third round, he walks into a left hook, but then he gets taken out of the double right off the fence. He's able to stuff the takedown attempt, and he overswings, and then he gets taken out of the single from that, but he's able to work back up to his feet yet again, and then he walks him down with some looping hooks to the body and the head and finishes the fight strong. That's all you can ask for. Vinicius Salvador plus 125, CJ Vergara minus 155. I just watching the tape. I like CJ Vergara. I don't like the price on him. But, you know, Vinicius looks like he gets tired as the fight goes on. CJ has tough first rounds, but I think he can survive and get it done in the second and the third. I don't like these price tags, but it's not that big. And CJ Vergara, you know, he does have decent striking and fast combos. So I'm going to go with CJ Vergara minus 155. We'll see what happens. But if Vinicius knocks him out, I wouldn't be surprised. Fourth fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. Jake Matthews taking on newcomer Darius Flowers. Jake Matthews took on Matt Summelsberger's last fight. Disappointing performance from him in the first round. He kind of hangs on the outside, but he gets pressed with an overhand and dropped right away pretty much. And then he lands an uppercut to the body and overhand to the head, but then eats a cross and gets taken down with a single. So, but then in the second round, he lands a check left hook, and he steps back, lands a check left hook, but then he gets dropped with a right step-in hook from Matt Summelsberger. And yeah, it seems like his chin doesn't hold up too well. But then in the third round, he gets dropped when they step in right cross, but he pulls the guillotine. Don't know why. But then he gets a clinch, lands a quick foot trip, lands a short right, and then he lands a straight flurry. But then he gets singled to the fence, and then he's able to complete the foot sweep at the end, but doesn't really do too much. And then Darius Flowers took on Marion Gogoladze, Dana White's Contender Series. In the first round, he gets rushed and eats a body kick and an uppercut, and then he gets clinched to the fence, but he's able to reverse the clinch position. He's able to keep the underhook off a trip attempt, and then he's able to come out the back with an inverted triangle. And then whenever Amarin has an inverted triangle, just like a pile driver, slams him on his back and breaks his shoulder or something and gets a TKO. So make that what you will. Before that, he took on Tim Hiley in the LFA. In the first round, he lands some uppercuts to the fence, gets a knockout pretty fast. And he took on Daniel Gadley. Before that, in the first round, he gets a body lock outside trip takedown off of a kick attempt, and then he gets into full guard, lands some body punches, does his thing on the ground. Darius Flowers plus 230, Jake Matthews minus 275. I'm going to go with Darius Flowers. He's got big power, Jake Matthews. I don't know if he can take punches too well. And plus 230, I think, that's disrespecting Darius Flowers a little bit. And I think he can get done. Like, if it goes past the first round, he might be in some trouble. But Darius, if he could just win 2 rounds, I think he could do that. I think he's going to overwhelm him. Jake Matthews, he knocked out Andre Fiallo, but didn't really get any good shots on Semmelsberger. And I just think Darius Flowers, he's right for the underdog position, coming off the Contender Series, plus 230. We've seen newcomers do well that are underdogs. I'm going to go with Darius Flowers. 5th fight of the night at 185 pounds, men's middleweight, Roman Kopylov taking on Claudio Ribeiro. Kopylov on a bit of resurgence. He took on Punahele Soriano his last fight. In the first round, he jabs at range and he skirts the fence, but then he gets caught with some hooks. But then he starts landing some jabs and some 1-2s at range, but then he gets clipped with some overhands. Then he kind of backs out of the range. Then he kind of drops his hand when he's throwing his jab, I noticed, so that could be a problem, but he didn't get clipped with anything big. Then in the second round, he backs out of the uppercut range and some jabs, but then he dips his head and he gets clipped with some overhands by Punahele, but then he's able to land a body kick, follows it up with a nice body shot. Whenever he gets pressed, follows it up with a straight flurry. Then he lands a body kick, straight flurry, and gets a TKO. He hurt him really bad with those body kicks, and earlier he hurt him really bad, and Punahele was able to stay up somehow. So yeah, he's just lethal and he's like a sniper. And then Claudio Ribeiro took on Joseph Holmes his last fight. In the first round, he walks into a 1-2 and gets taken out the double, but then he's able to get back up and they get into a clinch battle. And then he's able to drop him with a leg kick, and he lands some wild hooks and gets the double leg takedown off the fence into full mount, takes his back, lands some big ground and pound. Then in the second round, he gets clinched to the fence though, but he's able to land a lunge overhand right, and he lands some hooks, and then he snaps down into the front headlock, lands some knees to the head, and drops him with that, and then follows it up with some TKO. With ground and pound, gets a TKO. So, yeah, he's lethal as well. A lot of big explosive movements, though. And then I noticed before that he took on Razak Abdul Hassan, and Razak was able to clinch him a lot. So, and then when they got into the firefight, Razak was able to clip him with a big shot. So, yeah, I don't know, but I think it's going to be a good one. Ribeiro plus 170, Kopylov minus 210. I don't like the price tag, but, again, Claudio Ribeiro is used to getting things done in the first round. I think Kopylov will be able to stay at distance, land some straight shots, hopefully get that body kick going, and I think Claudio Ribeiro might have a tough time getting inside to clip him with something. Roman, I think he can take a shot decently well. Claudio takes him a lot of time to pull the trigger. So I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov. I think he'll be able to land the cleaner shots at range. I think Claudio's going to get tired. I think he's going to start missing, and Claudio's going to be able to hurt him. So I'm going to go with Claudio. I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov against Claudio Ribeiro. Main event of the prelims at 170 pounds, men's welterweight, Gabriel Bonfim taking on Trevin Giles. Gabriel Bonfim on a bit of a hot streak. Trevin Giles trying to stay relevant. Bonfim took on Manuel Zez's last fight. In the first round, he lands a left hook and then straight right. Follows it up with a couple lead left hooks, and then he's able to pull the guillotine. He's able to convert that into a mounted guillotine and gets a submission. So do not shoot a double on Bonfim, because he could choke you out. And before that, he took on Trey Waters, Dana White's Contender Series in the first round. He presses forward with some jabs. He lands some counter right crosses, follows it up with a straight combo. Then he's able to back out of range. And then he lands a lead left hook, and he looks for the cross, starts pumping his jabs, but then he gets clipped with a couple straight counter shots. Then he's able to land some straight rights, and then he's able to follow it up with a left hook. Good combination there. And then he gets a double off of a hook that's loaded up too much, and then he's able to get the Von Flue submission. So yeah, looked like he was going to get taken out with a guillotine, and he got the Von Flue. So, pretty savvy on the ground. And then Trevin Giles took on Preston Parsons his last fight in the first round. He's able to defend the clinch attempts, and he lands some jabs at range and some 1-2s, but he's able to stuff the double, but then he gets rocked with the right cross, but he eats a flurry and gets drugged down, gives up his back momentarily, but he's able to defend the rear naked choke attempts. He's able to reverse the position off an armbar attempt, get on top there. And then the second round, he lands a right cross, but he gets clinched, but then he's able to break free, lands a nice elbow on the break, makes him pay for it, and then he starts pumping his jabs, and he circles, but he gets taken out with the double, but then he gets right back up, starts ripping the body with a vengeance, and then he lands some jabs, but then he gets clipped with the hook to the body, but he's able to stuff the double attempt and with a body lock, in the body lock trip, and able to use the body lock trip, and then he is able to get around his back and the round on top, taking the guy's back pretty dominant. And then in the third round, he gets pressed, but he eats some straights and a hook. But he's able to stuff takedowns. He lands some jabs and some straights whenever he gets pressed. But then he eats a couple leg kicks and some counter hooks and some elbows. But he gets pressed, and then he gets taken on the double. And he gets up a little slower in this third round. He's pretty visibly tired. Then he gets pressured, and he gets taken out the double again, gives up half guard, but he's able to push off the wall and sweep him and reverse him toward the end there. But, he definitely fades in the third round. Trevin Giles, plus 280. Gabriel Bonfim, minus 340. I'm going to go with Gabriel Bonfim. I don't like the price tag. There might be a little too much hype on the guy, but, in 2 fights I've watched, 2 finishes, and Trevin Giles gets tired as the fight goes on. Gabriel Bonfim, his fights typically don't go too long, but I think Gabriel Bonfim is going to be a little too much for Trevin. I think he's going to be able to piece him up. I think his striking might be a little bit cleaner. I think he's going to be able to get Trevin on the ground. Now, Trevin's no slouch on the ground. He can reverse, but I think Gabriel's going to be able to get dominant position, maybe get a submission. But the whole fight to go under 1.5, minus 195, maybe. But Gabriel Bonfim by KO plus 225. Or you can do the submission. Submission might be a little too obvious, though. But, yeah, I like Gabriel Bonfim. Don't like the price tag. But, yeah, Gabriel Bonfim by KO plus 225. We'll see. But I'm going to go with Gabriel on this one. First fight on the main card at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. Michael, the Maverick Chiesa, ranked number 12, taking on Kevin Trailblazer Holland. Holland trying to get ranked. Michael Chiesa has been off for a while. Couple losses in a row, looking to get back on track, looking to get back into relevancy. Kevin Holland looking to get in the rankings. Should be a fun matchup. Both guys kind of have contrasting styles, so it should be interesting. Michael Chiesa took on Sean Brady his last fight. In the first round, he circles and he moves in and out. He throws some straights, but then he's able to back out of the body kick range, but then he gets body locked up to the fence. Kevin Holland's probably not going to do that, but he might clinch. But then he's able to land a straight left off of Brady's kick. And then he looks for some left crosses at range, kind of steps in, dips his head a little bit. The second round, he gets glanced with a jab and an overhand when he's walking into the pocket. But he's able to land a step in 1-2 and then a right hook, and then he backs out of range. He lands a counter 1-2 off of Brady's jab. He's able to land a left cross and a right hook, and then he kind of circles, gets out of the way. But then he gets pressed with some straights, and he gets clinched and gets double-legged off the fence, gives up his back. Again, I don't know if Kevin Holland's going to do that, but Kevin Holland, people sleep on his ground game a little bit. In the third round, he lands a jump knee, then he clinches up. He lands a straight left and an uppercut and a blitz. But then he gets clinched and gives up his back again. But he's able to work back up to the feet. He lands a right uppercut, lands a couple knees to the body. Then he gets clinched. Then he gets the wizard kick into half guard. Lands a nasty ground and pound at the end of the fight. It was just a little too late, though. And also, his IQ is a little questionable because, he was picking apart Sean Brady, and then him throwing those body kicks or the body knees, that's what led Sean Brady to clinch him. So, got to be careful for that. And then before that, I want to look at the Vicente Luque fight. In the first round, he moves in and out. He looks for some jabs, and he pulls him into his jab, and he circles, and he lands a step in straight left, but then gets caught with the hook whenever he's circling along the fence there. Then he feints his jabs, and he ducks the hook, and he gets a blast double, figure 4. One leg, though, takes his back, goes for the rear naked choke, and Vicente Luque is able to reverse that because Michael Chiesa just rushed it. So his IQ, not the greatest in some circumstances. Then Kevin Holland, he took on Santiago Ponzinibbio's last fight. Really good showing for him in the first round. He does a lot of shoulder rolls. That's what he does throughout the fight. So he's a little bit unique in that aspect. And he's able to land a side kick to the chest, and he lands some lead left hooks. But then he eats some leg kicks at range. But he lands a stiff jab off of his leg kick. And then he's able to slip the hook, circles on the outside. Then he lands some leg kicks. He's able to feint the jab. Able to land an uppercut. A little sneaky there. And then he gets clipped with some hooks in the pocket, though. But then he's able to drop him with a back fist whenever Ponzinibbio has his leg in the air on single. So he might be setting people up for things, especially Michael Chiesa, who wrestles. In the second round, he eats a right cross off of a load up by Ponzinibbio, and he throws a wild hook, but he misses. But then he eats an overhand and a leg kick whenever he's pressing forward with his feint. But he's able to close the distance with an uppercut, just kind of throws it randomly. But then he eats some leg kicks, but then he presses with some teeps, able to start popping his jab. He lands a right cross, but he eats an overhand, but then he rocks him again with a cross. He's able to stuff the clinch attempts with a forearm to the throat and land some nice knees to the body. So he can get out of clinch situations. In the third round, he walks into some leg kicks, though. But then he eats a few counter jabs off of his jab, but then he gets clipped with the hook while he's circling, looking for his jab. But then he's able to catch the leg kick straight right, and then follows it up with a left hook, drops him, KO. No follow-up necessary. Really good performance from him. Ponzinibbio is a little old, taking a lot of damage, but he's no punk. So Kevin Holland, minus 145. Michael Chiesa, plus 125. This is a little tough one. Chiesa is the underdog. A little surprised there. I don't really agree. I think Kevin Holland should be the underdog because of the wrestling. But, Kevin Holland's wrestling defense at 170 looks decent. I'm not going to say it's the greatest. I'm not going to say he's not going to get taken down, but he looks okay there. And he has submissions off his back. He is a little bit of a threat off of his back. It's just a matter of if Chiesa is able to close that distance and clinch up with Holland. Might not go his way, but I think Kevin is going to be able to stay at range, pop his jabs, stick and move, maybe make Chiesa chase him a little bit. And, Chiesa has been off for a while. He's had some surgeries. How does that play into it? Been off for a year and a half. Kevin Holland, he's rolling right along at 170, minus 145. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. Should be a great fight, though. I'm very excited for it. Second fight of the card at 155 pounds, men's lightweight, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson, looking to stay alive with his career, taking on Bobby King Green. Bobby King Green trying to get a legitimate win. So both guys got something to prove. Both guys really need a win here. So Tony Ferguson took on Nate Diaz's last fight at 170 on one day's notice. But in the first round, he lands a back elbow, and he's able to catch the kick. He lands a straight shot, and it just kind of pushes him down. Doesn't try to follow up with him on the ground, though. But then he presses forward with a lunge, jabs to the body. But then he walks into a 1-2, and his jabs are just a little too short. He's throwing them out there. But then he eats a counter hook off of a step-in back elbow. And he spins a lot, turns his back to Nate Diaz a lot. I don't like that. In the second round, he lands a step-in 1-2. But then he eats a straight and an uppercut followed up by a straight combination. Kind of walks right into it. His defense just doesn't look that great. He lands some inside leg kicks at range. But then he eats a 1-2 followed up by a leg kick. But then he steps in. He rips the body. Follows it up with an elbow to the head. He has good spurts like that, but then he spins again, and then he eats a straight combination because of that. He lands a body kick and overhand whenever he gets pressed, though. Then in the third round, he wobbles him with a nice inside leg kick. He lands some step-in leg kicks followed up by a right cross off of Nate's knee. But then he eats a 1-2 when he's moving backwards, has his hands down, moving straight back. Then he eats a hook off of a crash in. He lands tries to go for the overhand, misses. Then he dips in. He lands some jabs to the body. But then he eats some hooks up against the fence. Then he eats some straights again while he's moving back, hands down. So I don't know. And this was after he got viciously knocked out by Michael Chandler. In that fight, he did look very good in the first round. I think he won the first round, hurt Michael pretty bad. But, he's taken a lot of damage over his career, and who knows how that's going to play into it. And then Bobby Green took on Jared Gordon his last fight. In the first round, he pressures forward. He lands a step-in 1-2. Then he eats a counter hook off of his overhand. He lands some double jabs, or throws double jabs, don't really hit him. But then he eats a counter overhand because of that. He lands a lunge jab to the body. Then he gets clipped with a follow-up hook. Then he eats an overhand and a jab standing at range. But he's able to land a lunge cross. Lunges in for that cross, and they clash heads. So, yeah. But no contest. But in this fight, Jared Gordon made Bobby Green come to him, which was pretty interesting. And Bobby Green likes to let people come into his pocket and tries to shoulder roll, try to counter a lot. So interesting game plan. Bobby Green minus 360, Tony Ferguson plus 395. The line's a little out of whack, I would say. But Tony Ferguson taking a lot of damage, lost 5 fights in a row. And, you know, he did look good in the Chandler fight, but then he got viciously knocked out. I don't know how much damage a person can take. You know, Bobby Green did get knocked out by Drew Dober, but, you know, Drew Dober, he can just walk through punches. So it's a little different. And Bobby Green looked good against Jared Gordon after he got knocked out. Tony did not look good against Nate after he got knocked out. Make of that what you will. I'm going to go with Bobby Green here. He's not a knockout artist, but he did knock out Al Iaquinta, so it's possible. And Tony can take a ton of punches. I get that. But I just think Tony looks a little slow. I think Bobby Green's going to be able to land more. Tony Ferguson doesn't really utilize his wrestling too much, and Bobby Green has decent wrestling defense. I think Bobby Green's going to be able to stay at range and land some shots over the course of 3 rounds. Now, Tony Ferguson has the ability to knock out Bobby Green. It's possible. He's not a one-punch knockout type of guy, typically. So I'm going to have to go with Bobby Green. The price is a little ridiculous, but the whole fight to go over 2.5 rounds, minus 135. I like that. You want to go Bobby Green by decision, do that as well, but maybe there is a late stoppage, but I'm going to go with Bobby Green. Third fight on the main card, the featured fight of the evening, 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. Derek the Black Beast Lewis makes his return at number 11, taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Derek Lewis on a losing streak as well, really needs this one. And Marcos, if he can beat Derek Lewis, he's into the rankings, gets a little bit of hype. Should be a fun one, should be violent. 2 heavyweights at altitude, can't wait. Derek Lewis took on Sergey Spivak his last fight. In the first round, he looks for some lunge straights and some hooks, but then he gets clinched up and taken out with the headlock, and he gives up his back and he eats some ground and pound. Then he gets mat returned and gets arm triangled and submitted. He gets up like 3 or 4 times, though. He does try to get up. He's trying his hardest. Sergey Spivak just too good in the grappling department. So, tough, but, you know, Marcos doesn't grapple too much. Well, he does, but not as good as Sergey Spivak. Marcos Rogerio de Lima took on Waldo Cortez Acosta his last fight. In the first round, he lands some counter hooks in the pocket, follows up with some leg kicks at range. And then he presses forward with the clinch, gets the takedown with the back trip. Can't really do too much with it, though. Back on the feet, he eats a jab at range, and he kind of swings his hooks just so he can get to the clinch. That's how he closes distance. In the second round, he's able to wobble him with some leg kicks, and then he gets a double leg off the fence into half guard, and he's able to get around his back standing. Can't do a whole lot with it, though. Then back at space, he gets pressed with some straight shots, but he's able to land some leg kicks whenever he's coming into him. So, yeah, watch out for those leg kicks. But then in the third round, he gets tired, and he stops the leg kicks mostly. Then he eats some straights at range, and he keeps his high guard, though. So his body's kind of open there. But then he eats a jab, but then he's able to land a leg kick off of that. So take one, give a leg kick, I guess. But then he eats some straight shots at range. And, yeah, just gets tired in the third round. Marcos Rogerio, minus 225. Derek Lewis, plus 190. I'm going to go with Derek Lewis. They're both at altitude. I think Derek Lewis has better cardio. And Derek Lewis, decent in the clinches. You don't want Derek Lewis to get taken down. But I think in the past he's shown that he can break off of clinches, land big shots. And I think Derek is going to be faster than him. And I think this is a more reasonable matchup. Derek Lewis has lost a lot, but he's fighting like the best guys in the division. Marcos Rogerio, a decent step down for him. Derek Lewis, underdog price at heavyweight. You got to go with Derek Lewis. The whole fight to go over 1.5 rounds, plus 160. Derek Lewis by decision, plus 1,400. I don't know. Maybe Derek Lewis switches up his game plan a little bit. But over the course of 3 rounds, if it does go that far, I would pick Derek Lewis, especially at altitude. I'm going to go with Derek Lewis, the Black Beast. The co-main event of the evening, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. For no more contender spot, I think Jan Blachowicz, Polish Power, coming in at number 3, taking on newcomer to the weight class, Alex Poatan Piera. The title is up for grabs, so this fight just got a hell of a lot more interesting, and it's very important to each guy. Jan Blachowicz trying to prove he can still do the thing at 40 years old. Alex Poatan trying to just get another title. So I'm excited. Blachowicz took on Magma Nikolaev his last fight. In the first round, he lands a right cross, followed up with a leg kick. But he eats some teeps, and he eats a straight right whenever he's walking towards them. But he's able to land a step-in overhand, and then he's able to circle out. And he misses with an overhand, and then he eats another teep at range. Pretty close round. And then in the second round, he misses his hooks, and he eats a head kick. But he's able to land a step-in right cross, followed up with a left uppercut. That's his combo. He'll like uppercut the body, right cross, and he lands some short hooks and an uppercut in the pocket, and then he gets out of there. Then he hurts him with an inside leg kick, and then he wobbles him again, and he's able to defend the clinch attempts. Then he lands a left uppercut to the body, then right hook to the head. Then he eats a counter hook, hanging around in the pocket a little too long. In the third round, he lands a jab, and then another inside leg kick, and these are brutal leg kicks. Then he lands. But he eats an overhand while he's stalking. Then he eats a left hook off of his when he lunges in. But then he's able to hurt him with some more leg kicks. And he looks for some uppercuts to the body. Then he gets shut down with the clinches toward the end, gets taken down at the end. But Alex is not going to take down Jan. But yeah, he was looking good. And then, Magomed took over in rounds 4 and 5. Luckily, this is only a 3-round fight. Then Alex Pereira took on Israel Adesanya his last fight at 185. In the first round, he eats. They both trade leg kicks. So he eats some, he lands some, standing at range. He's able to back out of the range of jabs. Then he gets clipped with some body kicks. In the second round, he throws a head kick. And then he starts pressing with some body kicks. Then he lands a jab to the body, then a right cross to the head. Then he lands an uppercut counter to the head, followed up with a left hook. But, they're both kind of very tentative at this point. Then he gets clipped with an overhand off of his jab. Then he eats a counter left hook whenever he's pressing forward with his jab. And then he hurts him with the leg kick, and he rips the body. He lands a flurry on the fence, but then he eats a counter overhand right off of his left hook. He just kind of winging that left hook and not worrying about what's coming back and gets knocked out. So, yeah. Chin is questionable, but he's going up to 205. Alex Pereira minus 105. Jan Blachowicz is minus 115. I'm going to go with Alex Pereira. He was massive for 185, and he's going to go up to 205. I only think it gets better. Jan does have a lot of power, but so does Alex. I think Alex is a better striker than Jan, and Jan can wrestle, but he doesn't really use his wrestling too much in his fights. And I think, Alex has been working with Glover Teixeira on his grappling as much as he can. I think he'll be able to defend the takedown attempts of Jan, and I just think, Alex is a little smarter on the feet than Jan. If Jan wins, it's not going to surprise me. Jan could catch him with a big shot, but Jan doesn't knock a ton of people out. But he does have that power. And, Jan has utilized a lot of leg kicks his last fight. Well, Alex has really good leg kicks as well. So, yeah, it's just a toss-up, but I think Alex can get it done. He's the fresher guy. Jan's taking a lot of damage. But it should be interesting. I won't be surprised either way. The whole fight to go under 1.5 rounds out, plus 120. I like that one, but I'm going with Alex. The main event of the evening at 155 pounds, men's lightweight for the BMF title. Dustin the Diamond Poirier taking on Justin the Highlight Gaethje, a high-ranked matchup, possibly for a real title shot. Dustin Poirier, number 2. Justin Gaethje, number 3. Can't get much better than that. The BMF title is just for show. This is a rematch of a fight that happened 5 years ago. Dustin Poirier won that one, but they're both completely different fighters, in my opinion. Both have evolved a lot. And it should be fun to revisit this. And I hope you like violence, because it's going to get very violent. And it's just going to be a good fight. This fight's basically a coin flip, but let's go over it real quick. Dustin Poirier took on Michael Chandler his last fight in the first round. He gets backed up with some leg kicks, and he eats some right crosses on the fence and some hooks to the body. But then he looks for some left crosses, but he's able to land a counter right hook whenever he gets pressed. And then he eats a flurry on the fence, but this was after a head clutch, so it's kind of murky. And then he gets taken down with a double off the fence, but he's able to get back up, and he lands some lead uppercuts on the fence, but then he eats some overhands, but then he's able to drop him with the counter hook. Michael Chandler getting a little overzealous, and then he lands a cross, and then a hook flurry up against the fence. Ends the round strong. In the second round, he gets pressed with some hooks, but then he gets doubled off the fence and gives up his back, gives up the cross wrist, eats some ground and pound from the back. But I don't know if Justin Gaethje's going to do that. So then in the third round, he lands some crosses off of Mike's leg kicks, and he's able to get he gets put in a single high crotch lift. But then he returns well. He's ready to explode back up. Gives up his back, but Michael Chandler gets a little too high, and Poirier is able to turn into him, take the top position. He's able to take Michael Chandler's back and gets a rear naked choke submission. And it looks pretty natural for him. It didn't take too long. Michael Chandler was exhausted. So Dustin got great cardio. So does Justin. So it should be interesting. And Justin Gaethje took on Rafael Fiziev his last fight. In the first round, he gets clipped off of some step-in leg kicks, and he eats a hook in the pocket exchange. Then he's pulls for the clinch, but then he eats a knee, rushing in for the clinch. But then he walks into a body kick and some hooks, but then he's able to shoot the double. Doesn't get it, but he's able to land an overhand on the exit. Pretty sneaky from him because he doesn't wrestle too much. In the second round, he eats some knees off of a level change and eats some body kicks, but then he eats a lead hook, but he's able to land a lunge straight shot. And then he's able to land some lead hooks in a flurry off of Fiziev's front kick, but then he eats a hook and a knee, but he's able to land a right hook inside the pocket. And, pocket exchanges were kind of 50-50, but Justin Gaethje seems like he just has a tad more power on his shots. In the third round, he gets rocked with an overhand and some hooks in the pocket, but then he's able to get distance, land a jab and an uppercut, and then a left hook inside the pocket, and then he's able to land some jabs at range, and he follows it up with an overhand right, and then he lands some uppercuts in the pocket, powerful uppercuts, and he got the better of Fiziev in the third round. So, but pretty competitive fight, pretty close fight. That second round's up for debate, but Justin Gaethje was able to stop an up-and-coming star, so you got to give him credit. Justin Gaethje plus 130, Dustin Poirier minus 150. Like I said, flip a coin. I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje, slight underdog. I don't really know why. I just think people might be surprised. Justin Gaethje does have a slight wrestling advantage if he chooses to use it. He might be able to at least use it to keep Dustin on his toes. I think Poirier is a little more accurate with his shots and a little more selective, and Gaethje does miss sometimes because he throws too big. But I think Gaethje might just have a little more pop on his shots if they get in the clinch. It's hard to say. Basically, I'm just going to go Justin Gaethje because he's the underdog, and I think he's looking for revenge from the last fight. So, we'll see. The whole fight to go over 2.5 rounds, though, minus 130, but at plus 130, I'm going with Justin Gaethje. All right, everybody, thanks for riding with me. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Leave a comment down below. Did all my research. I'm looking to go perfect this week. I'm back for revenge. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence, and let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.